What's up YouTube, Mr. Lawmissy here, and today I'm going to be discussing and showing off my Sorceress. Now, a lot of people have been asking this question. What is your Sorceress build? What does your Paragon look like? What does your gear look like? All of that, and I'm finally ready to show it all for you right here. It is mostly done. I've been holding off showing it because I feel like I've been changing things and it hasn't quite been at where I've wanted it to be. It's not perfect yet, but it's pretty good. And so I'm going to go ahead and show you how I've spec'd this character and everything. So we can start with the gear. To start off, I'm aiming for right here. Total armor is really nice. But cooldown reduction is probably the most important skill that I'm affix I'm looking for on the helmet. So getting that cooldown reduction was really big, and then max life as well. And then I love having a really high total armor. That's really nice, as that does help my armor. And then willpower just rolled. I'd prefer that to be enter whatever, but willpower it is. We have rubies in all of the armor. We could switch these to topaz if we want for damage reduction during CC. We have emeralds in the weapons and then skulls in the rings. So that's the current setup of that. I've imprinted Frost Nova gains an additional charge, but the cooldown per charge is increased, which is also the same one as here. And the reason it's the same aspect is because I was using Rements, whatever. Where's that? Let me go to my stash really fast so I can show off the two kind of builds that I was running a little bit. So I was using Rayments right here, so we'll just put that on for now and put this in here. So Frost Knife gains an additional charge, but the cooldown is increased. I just was using that because I like running the dual Frost Nova on this build. Over here we have Rements. This is just really nice for the teleport and the stun. With the teleport, you get some intelligence as well, which is a little bit of damage, extra damage versus close and stunned enemies, and a little bit of glass cannon. So it's just a little extra damage right there. But I also really like running this armor instead, or just other armor. Not this one exactly. It has fire res and stuff, which I don't care about. But it does have damage reduction and total armor on it. I feel like that just could bring a little more. The teleport here with the increased cooldown, I think sometimes is a little annoying. But a lot of people like to run this, and I understand why. I have these gloves. Now these are really good gloves. +4 to rank of ice shards, 14.4% attack speed, 12% crit strike chance, and then 11% lucky hit chance. So this kind of catches everything that I want on these gloves right here. And then I deal more damage to immobilized, stunned, or frozen enemies. The pants are pretty old. Yeah, those gloves are godly. The pants are pretty old. Damage reduction from close, all stat, damage reduction while injured, and damage reduction from burning. So pretty much just hitting the DR from all the sources. And then this is a very good aspect, gaining the increased armor whenever you deal any form of damage, stacking up to 50%. That is a decent boost. For my boots, I'm running really nice boots, +4 teleport, +4 Frost Nova, +3 flame shield, and then movement speed. There's also some other base pieces that you can get that would be nice. I think you can get mana cost reduction and stuff on this. But being able to get at least the teleport and Frost Nova at +4 ranks is super nice. Then after that, movement speed and probably mana cost reduction over the flame shield I might prefer. But otherwise, these are my boots. I'm using a wand right now. I'm also considering doing the staff setup because the damage does hit higher. But this has lucky hit chance on it, crit damage, int, damage to close enemies, and vulnerable damage. Again, a pretty solid combination right there of all of those across. And then I just have the ice shards piercing for this right now, and I'll talk about my staff setup after. I'm using this. This has cooldown reduction and cooldown reduction. So again, that's your really you want cooldown reduction here. It's only 7.1% though, so I am looking for a better focus in the moment. And then I have the lucky hit for a chance to restore primary resource, just something that's a little bit helpful. Barrier generation and mana cost reduction. Again, this is kind of an old focus. I haven't really found a good upgrade. And so I am looking for something better with better mana cost reduction, better cooldown reduction for sure. Here is my first ring. It has vulnerable damage, crit strike damage, crit chance, and then damage to frozen. If that was lucky hit chance as the fourth affix, I'd be amazingly happy. But overall, really good damage and chance right there for crit. And then same sort of thing up here, vulnerable, crit, crit, and damage to crowd controlled as well. So again, just running both of those. And then for these aspects, I have you deal increased damage to vulnerable enemies while you have a barrier. Did I say this one? Yeah. So that's nice because we want to, everything's going to be pretty vulnerable for us since we make everything vulnerable, and then we have barrier up most of the time. Crit strike with core skills increases your attack speed. This is great. You may want to use prodigies. Let me see if I have a ring. Prodigies is the one that gives you mana every time you use a cooldown, and you're going to be using cooldowns a lot. And so I guess I don't have that aspect currently. Or you could use this, right? Restore 4 of your primary resource when you crowd control an enemy. That also works. Using a cooldown. Here you go. Here's prodigies. So using a cooldown restores X mana. This is not bad to put on there at all. If you're having mana issues, put that on and you can put it over here or something. But for me, critical strikes with core skills increase your attack speed, which is really nice because then I can shoot off my shards even faster. Deal 25% increased damage while you have a barrier active. Again, we're going to be running barriers often. And then we also have this, which is a godly amulet. Mana reduction, +3 ranks of Devouring Blaze, which is really good damage. Damage reduction from close enemies, and 9.4% cooldown reduction. So this is really solid amulet as well. And we have the core mastery skills cast at or above 100 mana, gain 60% increased crit strike. And we like that on our amulet because it gets a 50% boost. So that's even more crit strike chance. And the 60% mixed with our current crit strike chance, I believe, puts us at 100%, if I'm not mistaken. 38.6 plus 60 equals 98.6. So we're pretty much maxed on our crit strike chance whenever we are casting core or mastery skills at or above 100 mana, which is really nice. So that is the gear there. I am looking at potentially running a staff. This one is almost good. It has vulnerable, core, and intelligence. It's just missing crit damage. So if I could roll crit damage in that 4th slot instead of damage to close enemies, this would be a super godly staff right here. And the beautiful thing about this is you get 100% multiplier on the bottom there for whatever the affix is. So you can you deal this damage and deal 70% more damage than to immobilize, stunned, or frozen enemies. You can run this then with raiments. You can then also run it with Meteor, which will do the immobilization. So you have stun, immobilize, and then freeze from your Frost Nova. And now you're doing massive amounts of damage with that staff, can get really big hits. So I'm just looking for this staff with one more piece. Now, if you run that, of course, you lose the lucky hit chance from your wand right there as the implicit, and you lose the cooldown reduction from this base over here. And that would be sad, losing 17% cooldown reduction and the mana cost reduction, whatever else you have on it. So it is rough. However, you gain a lot of damage. So it's a trade-off. Some people like staff, some people like the other. That's something to think about. Moving on, let's go to our skill tree. So I am running 1 in Frostbolt, 1 in Firebolt. It doesn't really matter. You can put this in Firebolt pierces enemies. You just need to spend 2 points at the start. Make sure 1 is in Frostbolt or Firebolt. I was using Frostbolt as well because I kind of like the idea of the enchantment where you're chilling everything and then you have the damage versus chilled and stuff. But that is something that I think will be useful in PvP maybe, and less so over here. Or maybe somewhere else, right? TBD. So you want that. Then you can come into the core tree. You're maxing out ice shards. 1 in enhanced, 1 in destructive. I like destructive. Some people like greater. You get to treat things as if they're frozen. I like destructive because you get to make them vulnerable with 5 ice shards, which is really nice. 1 point into devastation, 3 points into elemental dominance. This gives you 9% increased damage when cast above 50 mana. Most of the time you're casting above 50 mana on this build. And again, that 9x damage is really nice. Anything with an X on it is really good. We have 1 point in Flame Shield with 1 and 1. Going up to the Flame Shield heals 50% of your life, just too good. 1 point into Teleport, going to Shimmering Teleport. 1 point into Ice Armor, going to Enhanced Ice Armor. And then we've maxed out Frost Nova and taken it down to Mystical, which makes enemies vulnerable for 4 seconds, increased to 6 seconds against bosses, which is really great because, again, we do a lot of damage and vulnerable damage right there. So that's helpful. And then additionally, Enhanced Frost Nova is really nice and works well with the charges because this is killing enemies frozen, reduces its cooldown by 1 second up to 4 seconds per cast. So every time that you cast Frost Nova, if you're hitting 4 things and killing that, you're taking 4 seconds off the cooldown. Then we have 1 point into Elemental Attunement. I don't think you need more than this because it's only once every 10 seconds. So every time you crit strike, you have a 5% chance to reset the cooldown of one of your defensive skills, which will be one of these 4. If it hits Frost Nova, it's really nice, but that can be really nice. And then Glass Cannon, we have 3 points right here. We maxed it out for more X damage, but we do take a bit more damage. I've got 3 points in Precision Magic. That's just a 15% lucky hit chance increase, which is great for Elemental Attunement and other pieces. 1 point in Align the Elements, 3 in Mana Shield for more DR, 3 into Protection for more Barrier. Some people take off Mana Shield and place it elsewhere. If I wanted to go into like Meteor, I could take off 3 from Mana Shield and go into Meteor, or I could take it off of Frost Nova or something if I wanted. I've got the 3 points in Devouring Blaze because increased crit strike damage against burning enemies is great. I will make everything burning. And then I go 3 points into Permafrost for the increased damage there, 3 points into Icy Touch, and 3 points into Frigid Breeze, which is also great for resource regeneration because cold damage against vulnerable enemies has up to a 20% chance to generate 15 mana, which is really nice. Then I've just got 1 point in Inferno and in Prime Inferno. Again, if with Raiments, we could shift this over to Meteor if we wanted. Lastly, we have Avalanche. This gives with a lucky hit, a chance for your next cast of Ice Shards to consume no mana and deal increased damage, which is great. And Shatter is also something people like to run sometimes. It's really good with Raiments and Frost Nova, but I like Avalanche overall. Hoarfrost is also really nice, but it's 6% increased damage to frozen enemies. So if the monster isn't frozen from your Frost Nova, then you're not getting that boost because you're not just chilling stuff from Ice Shards. So that is the skill tree right there with some options. And lastly, our Paragon board. Let us dive in. This is where there's a lot. So first things first, I'm trying to kind of max out glyphs a little bit, which means I'm not always taking everything that I want to take within a board. The reason is just getting to those 7 glyphs, I think, is just going to be more important. I think they just give too much benefit to avoid going to all of them. So the glyphs I'm using are Destruction. I guess I'll just show them when I get there, but I can just say now. Destruction, Imbiber, Control, Elementalist, Exploit, Flame Feeder, and Tactician. And you want to get them all to 15 first, and then you can do the next pieces. I'm sure it does, Guava. So I'm just starting out. I'm running up through the non-physical damage nodes, and I'm getting an Elementalist socket right here, and just making sure that I get the intelligence. So I get the 40 out of 40 intelligence, which means I get that bonus at the bottom, right? So this is Paragon nodes within range, gain 57% bonus to their non-physical damage and damage reduction modifiers. And here we have +2 non-physical damage on these nodes. So we get a bonus to those right there. And like I say, you want to be very efficient in just how you try and grab these additional, like intelligence nodes, right? So I could maybe even get rid of these nodes and put them right here. Or if I wanted, if there was something that gave us more for more intelligence and I wanted that here, I could have that here. Imbiber could probably go in this one, since there is 1, 2, 3 additional elemental, which would put us up to 55 int, not elemental. So that's just something we want to go with there. And next I move up into the elemental summoner board. This was a little bit different choice, I think, than some people made, but I think it's a good board to kind of run through and then spread off of personally. I like the attack speed, so I do just come over here and touch these attack speed nodes just to grab a little bit. I didn't grab that last one because I didn't have enough points. But then we head up here and head around. Again, we have Imbiber right here. Oh, it needs willpower, not int, sorry. So we want to stack as much willpower as we can in here as efficiently as possible. So you can see that I'm hitting every willpower node that I possibly can. Like, I don't really care about this rare node that much. Resistances are pretty bland right now in the game and broken. But I do want to get this additional willpower over here and then the willpower up here. So that makes us run all through those spots. And then we can run out to the left and run out to the north. So we go over here left, and I'm going to the Burning Instinct board. Oh, I didn't show my enchantments. I'll do that after. And I'm basically just getting the damage to burning enemies. You can see I need 540 willpower and dex. I have the dex, but I do need a little bit more willpower to be able to hit that. I would love to also come over to Kindling right here. If possible, just a few nodes there, and I'd be able to get that. And with 20 more willpower, I'd be great. But we're running Exploit here, and again, we just want as much dexterity as possible in here, so just trying to be as efficient as possible to hit all of the dex nodes that we can. Moving out of there, I have the Ceaseless Conduit board. This is pretty simple right here. I just want the dexterity, and I'm just using this for destruction. That's pretty much all it is. It's just a good board with 49 dexterity in a spot. I don't even care about these nodes whatsoever. It's just purely a spot that I can run and put as much dex as possible. Coming back over here, if we spread off this way, this is to the Frigid Fate board, which I would love to get the Frigid Fate, right? Getting the additional 15% chance lucky hit, but using the nodes to run around all the way and get there, I feel like just isn't quite worth it for what I can get elsewhere with those nodes. So unfortunately, I'm not getting any legendary nodes on these boards, which kind of feels dumb, but it's what it is. So I'm heading over here to this node because it is vulnerable damage, which means we are going to be stacking all of that vulnerable damage because it's just so yummy and juicy. So we absolutely love that. And then we're coming up here and going into this glyph socket of Tactician. This gives us even more vulnerable damage right there. And it grants that boost to the rare nodes in range, which of course this hits the vulnerable right there. So that's how we're getting that nice boost. And then this one is cold res and int, doesn't really matter too much, but it does have dexterity on the sides, which we do want dexterity. So again, kind of maxing out the dexterity hit there, or just needing enough. We don't get any bonus for additional dexterity, so we just need to make sure we hit 25, and then after that, we just want to pump Tactician up, right? Then we come over here to this board. This is the Enchantment Master board right here, and you can see that I'm running Flame Feeder. This is just for more damage, and again, running Dexterity. This is damage versus burning, which everything will be burning. Here's a bunch of non-physical damage and non-physical damage right there. I do not meet this requirement. And the way that you place your boards, they get more and more every board. You need higher and higher requirements. So that's just kind of unfortunate there. You could save some pathing nodes if you didn't go straight at the attack speed. What do you mean if I didn't go straight at the attack speed? right here. Boom, boom, boom. Vulnerable damage, not attack speed. Over here. What nodes am I saving? So I put one node here. I'm not sure which part is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I get what you're saying. But I need to get this dexterity here. So that's the problem. Anyways, moving on. If we lost one node there, then we lost one node. We'll fix it up later. So yeah, so we've got that. And then lastly, we come down here and we have the static surge board. And then we have this right here for damage to crowd-controlled enemies. And yeah, we might be able to save a little bit there. We'll have to look at it. And this, of course, is really nice. We get big damage to crowd-controlled enemies for each dexterity. So we have 44 dexterity. And then the 10% increased damage to slowed or chilled enemies and 20% to stunned or frozen, which is really nice. And again, you can see we're hitting up damage to stunned here, which is nice. I'm not going to be able to meet that, right? That requirement is just too high. I'm not doing anything over here with any of this willpower light red stuff, but we are just going and getting all the dexterity that we can. And that is our Paragon boards. So we're running 7 boards right there, which is a pretty good spanning. And yeah. Lastly, let's see, I think this is last. Our enchantments, we're running Ice Shards. This is just super nice. It just automatically confers supplies towards frozen enemies. So whenever you cast a Frost Nova, you just get a massive big boost in damage as you suddenly just pulse out a bunch of Ice Shards. And we're running Firebolt, which means direct damage from skills applies and additional burning damage. I don't actually care about the burning damage itself, but I do care that everything is burning because then again, all of the skills that give us damage to burning, damage reduction from burning, etc., all will be a big boost for this character.